This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Paul Dickerson.
Hi, I'm Paul Dickerson, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. First up today, I'm visiting with Brad Burke, Managing Director of the Rice Alliance for Technology and Entrepreneurship, about their 9th annual Clean Tech Venture Forum, where promising energy entrepreneurs present to some world-class venture capitalists. Following that discussion, I'll share with you an interview I had earlier this week in Austin, Texas with Clark Jernigan, partner at Austin Ventures. All that right after this.
Where will the energy come from to move us forward? From natural sources in abundant supply, or perhaps a man-made source? At NRG, we believe innovation will solve our energy needs. That's why NRG is moving away from fossil fuels towards wind, solar, and other sustainable technologies to power the smart grid, the electric car, and our clean energy future. We're using all of our energy to develop more of it.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. Today I'm visiting with Brad Burke, Managing Director for the Rice Alliance for Technology and Entrepreneurship. Brad?
Paul, it's great to be here.
Good to have you on the show. So now I know you have a big event coming up on September 15th, but before we get to that, tell me a little bit about the Rice Alliance.
Sure, I'd be glad to. Well, the Rice Alliance was founded about 10 years ago, and our mission is to help support the launch of technology companies, to support technology commercialization, and to help entrepreneurs launch most promising technology companies.
All right, and tell me about this event on the 15th.
Well, on the 15th, one of the ways that we do that in supporting entrepreneurs, we do a number of things. One of those is hosting a series of venture capital forums, and every year we host 4 of these. We call them technology venture forums in different areas, in life sciences, in biotech, and in nanotechnology. But the one coming up on September 15th is in energy and clean technology. On the 15th, we'll have about 40 promising early stage energy and clean technology companies. These are early stage companies presenting their business plans that day in front of an audience of about 500. So in the audience we'll have investors, venture capitalists, and other individuals who are looking to support the launch of technology, energy and clean technology companies.
All right, and I've heard you attract a great set of entrepreneurs. Who are some of the investors that then attract these entrepreneurs to participate?
Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the things that we've tried to do for the benefit of Houston and Texas in particular, is bring in investors from both coasts. So Kleiner Perkins is coming in from Silicon Valley. They're probably the #1 venture firm in the world. Other firms, U.S. Venture Partners are coming in, Silver Lake Partners. So we're bringing in we'll probably have about 40 different venture capital firms come in to participate in the program and to see the companies that we have to offer here in the region.
Now, you've been doing this for 9 years. How have the venture forums changed and progressed over that period of time?
Well, you know, what we've really seen is that when these started about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, they were regional events and attracted the regional investment community and the regional entrepreneurs. Now these have become national and global. So we have startup companies that are going to be presenting that come from other countries, and not just throughout the United States, but from other countries. In addition, the level of investors that we have has grown, and as well as the attendance. So when we started these, and I began with the program about 9 years ago, we would have about 120 people show up for these events. Now the energy and clean technology events become our biggest one, and we have anywhere from 500 to 600 people participate.
And what you mentioned overseas, what are some of the countries represented?
We've had companies come from as close as Canada, as far away as Australia, Korea, New Zealand, Israel. So we've been attracting now companies that are wanting to come here in order to present themselves, both to the investor community, but the other thing that Houston has that most other cities don't is the energy the center of energy. So we have a large number of energy corporations that are here. And these energy companies are looking to be aware of and potentially invest in some of these promising technologies so they can use these technologies for their own companies.
Now, for our viewers who've seen these business plan competitions throughout the U.S. pop up, how in your mind do you differentiate Rice's venture forum from other business plan competitions?
Well, there's two different kinds of programs that we do. We do the venture capital forums, and these are companies that have been launched by entrepreneurs. A lot of these folks may be starting their second career. They worked for Exxon or ConocoPhillips for 25 years, and they had a great idea, and now in their second career they're launching a technology company. So these are companies that are moving forward. In fact, and that's one kind. The other kind of program we do is we do run a Rice business plan competition. That competition is for graduate level university students. And over 10 years we've now built that up to be the largest and richest in the world, meaning we have more companies come to present for more money than anywhere else. This year we had 42 teams compete for $1.3 million in funding. And I said, what's different about that is that these are graduate university students, but it's not your grandfather's graduate university students. These are students who are committed to take these companies forward when they graduate. And they come here looking for seed funding and connections. And in fact, a large number of these graduate university teams go forward and successfully launch their companies.
Well, and you talk about having this type of clean tech forum deep in the heart of energy country. Do I understand right? You also used to work at one of these large energy companies, and now you're promoting it.
I did. So I came from Exxon, so I'm familiar with the industry. And that, so the one thing that's different about the program that we have here in Houston than any other city, because one of the unique aspects of Houston is that we can bring the industry community here to Houston. And when people think about the industry, they may think that these companies are still still only focused on oil and gas and traditional sources of fuel, but that's changed a great deal in the last 10 or 15 years. The companies in the industry here in Houston are looking for alternative fuels and alternative sources. So what's important for an entrepreneur is as they begin to start and ramp up their company, this gives them the single opportunity to meet those companies that can provide huge funding or huge opportunities to test their technology in the field, in their operations. And I don't think you'll see that anywhere else.
Well, and certainly as you've seen government funding decrease, many of our investor friends are looking for those strategic partnerships to try and help some of their portfolio companies.
They are. And the same point, the companies now are looking, they know that the alternative fuels and clean energy technologies are coming, and they're growing faster than the traditional oil and gas. And so they know that they're hedging their portfolio bets to put some of their resources behind the alternative fuels and alternative energy sources for the future.
Well, can you tell us about some of the successes you've had over this decade of forums?
We've had over 970 companies come through the venture capital forums. Wow. And we know now, based on research we finished this year, that those companies have raised over $1.2 billion in funding. So these companies have been successful and raised a lot of money. And they cover all aspects of the energy industry, all the way from a company called Deep Flex, which has the first non-metallic pipe for deep water offshore, which is flexible, which is lower cost, easier to implement, and doesn't corrode. And they've gotten great support from companies like Chevron and others who have now put significant capital into their company. All the way to the other end of the spectrum, a nanotechnology company for the fracking business. So there was a company launched out of Rice that created nanotechnology-based ceramic materials that would be injected into a fracking well, which would improve the production of oil and gas out of that well. And so it's a high-tech solution for the traditional business, but it covers all kinds of the spectrum, all the way over to alternative fuels. So Simple Materials, a company launched out of Houston. It has a new technology to be able to produce lithium cheaper and faster, better than current lithium production. And the benefit of that is as we move to more hybrid electric vehicles, the demand for lithium is going to continue to rise and rise.
Sure.
And this company was launched here in Houston and it has a unique patented technology to be able to produce lithium. And they think they may become, if you ranked all the countries in the world that produce lithium, they may in fact rank, when they ramp up their production, to probably be the third largest producer of lithium in the world.
Well, Brad, as you know, the Energy Makers show is planning to be there at the Energy Forum. Tell us a little bit about what we'll see.
Well, you see about 40 different companies that are advancing technologies in the energy and clean technology space. These include companies that start with a new technology for battery storage of electricity. So the problem with wind and solar is that they're not continuously producing those power. You need to produce that power when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing and save it. So we've got a battery company that is able to store that. We have solar-powered companies that have a new improved technology for solar power so that you can embed solar panels in any kind of material, not just the large flat panels that you're aware of. And then all the way to the more traditional spectrum of a company that's got a continuously variable transmission that's being used now in the deep oil and gas production, but has other applications as well. So the benefit of what you see at the program is a wide spectrum, a diverse set of companies across all aspects of the industry.
Now, Brad, is the Energy Forum open to the general public?
It is open to the public, and we encourage attendance. We expect 500 to 600 people from all aspects of the energy industry, as well as people that are just interested in finding out about what's going on in the latest technologies. Or maybe they're interested in investing in a company, or maybe they're just interested in looking for their next career. If people are interested in coming, they can go to our website. You can Google Rice Alliance and find the event, or Google the Energy and Clean Technology Venture Forum if you want to register and attend to come. If you're not able to come to the event, or it's afterwards, you'll be able to see the presentations by going to the Rice Alliance website, where you'll be able to see videos of some of the key presentations that are presented that day.
Well, Brad, to you and your team, congratulations. It's a wonderful event, certainly a gem for the city of Houston.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that very much, Paul.
Well, and that concludes our discussion with Brad Burke, and we'll be right back with more after this.
The future is here.
You can't see it. It's electric.
At NRG, we're providing clean energy and now charging stations to make the electric car a reality. Kinda makes you want a boogie woogie, doesn't it? NRG, moving clean energy forward.
It's electric.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. Today we have with us Clark Jernigan, partner at Austin Ventures. Clark, great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Paul.
So tell us a little bit about AV and how you're different.
Sure. Well, Austin Ventures is one of the largest venture firms in the nation. We have about $4 billion under management, and that makes us the largest in Texas by far. And we're different in the sense that we tend to do all stages. We do very early stage all the way to management buyouts. And a key part of our strategy is to back successful teams. And so we're very focused on the entrepreneurial teams as kind of a core element of the investment thesis.
All right, so being in Texas and investing in those teams, are there certain technologies that you're starting to target, for the next 12 months?
Well, we look at a wide variety of things, as you might imagine. As when we do early stage investments, they tend to be technology centric. A lot of times they're geographically proximate to us, sometimes they're not. As we go later and later stage, they tend to be more service oriented businesses.
All right.
And so, just depends on the stage and what particular investment thesis we're following.
Picking one of the services companies, are there certain late-stage services that you prefer over others?
Well, specific to renewable energy, we've looked lately at a lot of things in the environmental remediation. We made one investment there. We made an investment in photovoltaic utility scale development in the last year, and we've looked at things in renewable energy credit markets. So again, it's kind of one opportunity at a time as opposed to a top-down driven process.
Well, and let's dig in just a moment to one or two of those companies. But it's my understanding that Austin Ventures made a shift from a technology focus to at least opening their minds to an energy focus. Can you tell me about that change?
Sure. Well, historically, the firm did all sorts of things, including a lot of services businesses. As you know, in the run-up of the bull market of the 90s, we got progressively more early-stage focused, more technology-focused, more Texas-focused. In the decade since then, the fund sizes have continued to be large funds, but we've gone more back to our roots. In terms of being open to other things besides technology and early stage. And in particular, in renewable energy.
Well, and let's pick one of those that you think are exciting within the renewables.
Sure. So let me kind of highlight two of them that are both around cost reduction in photovoltaic. So one of the reasons that we have a lot of conviction about the photovoltaic space is because we're strong believers in the cost curve that's been evident there in recent years, and we think is going to continue for several years to come. And a lot of people focus on supply and demand. So there was great shortage of polysilicon, and then it became abundant, and suddenly prices dropped. That, I think, that's a big dynamic in the short term, but we're looking more at the fundamental drivers. And two of our companies that we've invested in the last couple of years are participants in driving that cost curve down. One is Solar Power Technologies, which really adds electronics at the array level of a big photovoltaic array, and the electronics allow you to get more out of that array. And so that's a way of lowering the cost per watt and also making it a better behaved source of renewable energy.
All right, and how is that? Is it by moving it more towards the sun, or is it?
No, it's about understanding what each panel in the array is doing and optimizing them as an array, as opposed to each panel just sort of running as fast as it can.
Interesting.
And then another one that goes all the way up to the beginning of the food chain is Astrowatt. And what Astrowatt does is they reduce the amount of silicon in the cell, the photovoltaic cell, by a factor of 7 to 10x. And so crystal silicon, the silicon itself, is the biggest cost component. And it's also the source of these kind of wild gyrations in price, in supply side of the price dynamic in the last few years, because silicon was in short supply and then it came into surplus. Because Astrowatt uses a lot less silicon, you get a couple of benefits. One, the cost is directly reduced. Two, you're kind of decoupled from that supply constraint. And then another benefit that also impacts the cost per watt is as silicon is thinner, the efficiency actually goes up. So what Astrowatt has been able to do is take what is typically a 200 micron thick or in some cases thicker silicon wafer, and they exfoliate a thin film of 25 microns, which, as it turns out, is also the optimum for efficiency. So you take cost out of the cell and you get more production of energy out of it.
Picking Astrowatt, when you were thinking of making the investment, what was it that you found attractive beyond just the technology? Was there a certain aspect of the team or the stage?
Well, the team we thought were very entrepreneurial, very creative. We were interested in more capital efficient kind of plays than what was being done in the market historically. So you had a lot of photovoltaic companies in the liquidity bubble where they went from we've got an idea for a cell to we're building giant factories in not very many steps, right? So they, and that was a risky strategy in retrospect, and many of those companies didn't do well. And even the ones that achieved exits, they had taken so much money, they didn't end up being good investments. What we liked about Astrowatt is they were trying to enable incumbents to just have a better cost point and a better technology. And so the business model is geared towards enabling incumbents. We're not going to go build factories to kind of run it up the middle against First Solar and all the Chinese guys.
Well, Clark, you're a great mind and great investor in this space. Thank you for coming by today.
Thank you, Paul.
And that wraps this week's episode of the Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio nationwide and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com. I'm Paul Dickerson, and we'll see you next week.